The Midnight Sky, Netflix movie. Directed by George Clooney and starring George Clooney and looks kinda nice in the trailers. Don't watch it. It's really a waste of your time and a waste of the money and talent involved in making it. Now let me tell you why and rant on that damn movie for a few minutes to get it out of my system. I watched it yesterday, was up for a nice Sunday evening movie night. I really was not looking for anything special. And so that movie came up in my Netflix feed. And on the surface, it looks like an okay sci-fi movie. The special effects are good, not only for a direct-to-Netflix movie, but in general. Special effects good, nothing against that. There are some big names starring in the movie, acting is alright. The plot synopsis sounded interesting, the premise is interesting. Well, then I watched it, and oh boy, did that movie make me angry. So it's got two big problems that kind of play into each other. The first problem is suspension of disbelief, which was broken pretty quickly because nothing that happens on the screen makes any sense. The second problem is the movie is trying to be a tragic drama, but all of the tragedy is so ham-fisted and unmotivated and unrelated to the overall plot. And that combined with the non-existent suspension of disbelief led me to hating every tragic scene and hating the ending, hating the movie in general. Let me explain that in a bit more detail. I don't want this to be super long. I could certainly go through this movie scene by scene and tell you how terrible it is. But I try to be brief. So, in general, there is a space mission returning from a moon of Jupiter. It's on their way back and they've lost contact with Earth. Why were they in Jupiter? They found a previously undiscovered Jupiter moon that is capable and is supporting life. It has an Earth-like atmosphere. They call it K23. You would think if we discovered a new Jupiter moon, we'd give it a name. No, it's K23. And you'd think a Jupiter moon that is so big that it can support Earth-like life, so it's similar in size to the Earth, we would have discovered that centuries ago. Galileo Galilei would have seen that with his crappy little telescope. But no, new Jupiter moon, and they were going there and it was great, and they're on the way back, lost contact to Earth. Then the drama, the tragedy begins to happen, and it's all because of bullshit. So the spacecraft, which overall looked pretty neat, looked believable, has a navigation malfunction and it's veering off course. Never mind that it should have several independent navigation systems, because it's kind of mission important, it's life and death that the navigation works. No, they lost the signal from Earth and now it's veering off course. This ship is using an ion drive. It's clearly shown that this is an ion drive. It's got jack shit for thrust. They could veer off course for hours and days and it wouldn't make much of a difference. This thrust is so minuscule that in the scenes where they're going through the middle of the ship where they don't have spin gravity, they're not pressed against the wall. They don't feel it at all. This ship has to accelerate for days and months and then flip over and decelerate before getting where it's at. Very efficient drive, but jack shit for thrust. Anyway, they're veering off course, and they have to plot a new course, and that goes through uncharted space. Really, uncharted space between the Earth and Jupiter. Are you kidding me? And because they had this navigation system and they're now going through uncharted space, they come into like a meteor field, and ice rocks hit the ship and damage it, and their communication disc and their radar gets broken. Okay, they've got like 3D printing robots that can fix the hull of the ship, but apparently they can't be remote controlled to fix the problem, or can't even do it on their own, can't be remote controlled, so they have to go outside to fix the problem, replace the communication, restart the radar. Again, mission critical items. You should have backups of those. But alright, we go with it. Who are they sending out? The pregnant woman, who is an exobiologist. No kidding, there's like a visibly pregnant crew member, like 6 months pregnant. Couldn't you have waited until you've got back to Earth? You're putting everything on that ship in jeopardy. God damn it, get birth control if you can't control your impulses. Alright. Pregnant woman goes out. Let's say maybe she's qualified. Then the other woman in the crew goes out. The doctor, the crew's doctor. And it's her first real extravehicular activity. Never been in a space suit outside of the ship. And those are the 2 crew members out of 5 they picked to go out. You couldn't make this shit up. Well, guess you could if you wrote that crap. And the captain of the ship also goes out because he's worried about his wife. But he's not really needed. His technical expertise is not needed. He's just there to babysit, really. Alright. So the doctor, first EV stunned, she's throwing up while changing into the suit in 0G. You have been on a spaceship for almost 2 years. You should really be used to 0G. But alright. Eventually she stops throwing up and gets into her spacesuit, and they go out and they fix the radar. They put a new communications disc on, and that was like changing a light bulb. Anyone in the crew could have done it, really. And then as soon as the radar is up, they pick up another swarm of asteroids. The radar couldn't pick up the first swarm, by the way, but the second. Well, anyway, it's too late. The asteroids slam into the ship. And somehow all 3 of them survive, though it was apparently a really tense scene. And they make their way back to the ship. And then there's like a droplet of blood floating in the doctor's helmet, and then more. So she has been hurt, and she didn't even feel it because she was so full of adrenaline, didn't realize it. She's got a puncture wound in her stomach. Something penetrated her spacesuit, and now the blood is going in her helmet, little by little. A hole in a spacesuit. Shouldn't it be like gushing out into space? No, apparently the suit has sealed up that leak. But it's leaking into her helmet. And it didn't like stick to the glass, the inside of the helmet, make it look all really horrible. No, it's a PG-13 movie, so the blood's just kinda floating there. They manage to get her back inside, they get a med kit, and because she's the ship doctor, they can't do jack shit, and then she dies off screen. Great fucking. And then they eventually go back to Earth, and they are contacted by George Clooney's characters, who had his own bullshit tragic backstory on the planet. He was like, planet's dying for some unexplained reason. The movie goes out of its way to not explain that, but there's some catastrophic man-made cataclysmic reaction in the atmosphere that makes it toxic. So everyone's dying, and George Clooney's staying behind in an Arctic station because he's got kidney failure or whatnot, and he wants to die there. He tries to contact this ship, and it doesn't work. So he and the little kid, the little girl he found left behind in the station, go with snowmobiles to a different station, to a weather station that has a bigger radio dish. Why does the weather station have a bigger radio dish? And they had a freaking huge radio disc at the first research station. And on the way there's some contrived, tragic bullshit moments. So when they get there, they're almost dead, and the ship's already so near to Earth that when he finally managed to radio the incoming ship and warn them not to land on Earth but to slingshot around and go back to Jupiter, they already have the Earth on screen, like in full HD, and can see that the whole planet is fucked up and they can't contact anyone. So everything George Clooney's character did was completely pointless, didn't achieve anything, and he dies in the end, and I didn't care. And it goes on. So they are discussing doing this slingshot maneuver, go back to Jupiter, but one of the crew members wants to stay behind because all of his family is on the planet. So he'd rather go down there, commit suicide, than spend the rest of his life in space without them. Fair enough. Another crew member, who was in love with the doctor but didn't really act on it, follows him, so they go down, 2 more crew members commit suicide, leaving the pregnant woman and her husband on the ship to slingshot back to Jupiter. But they also show it in orbit around Earth. Really, what are they going to do? Just Adam and Eve on an alien world around Jupiter? They are dead as well. No way that's working out. So everyone's dead. It has all been for nothing. And the whole time, through this contrived, dramatic, tragic storyline, they try to pull on the audience heartstrings so hard. And that really aggravated me. And you can see that there was potential for a much better movie. We've got good acting, we've got like the spaceship and everything looks believable. A lot of work and money went into that, and then this plot, oh, I can't believe it. Anyway, don't watch it. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.